All right. So, hi everyone. My name is Callie Sharp. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I am also a law student with the Interdisciplinary Environmental Clinic at WashU Law. And I'm here to talk with you about another issue that's pervading majority Black communities, which is illegal dumping. Illegal dumping can include anything from traditional household trash to more problematic trash, things like construction waste and used tires. And often this comes from contractors who are trying to avoid fees associated with proper dumping procedures. Now, there is a connection between communities with a higher vacancy rate and increased instances of illegal dumping. And this is because vacant lots and deteriorating buildings are targets for illegal dumpers. There are multiple negative effects of illegal dumping. Illegal dumping can threaten the health of community residents. It can contain unknown and dangerous chemicals, which can be hazardous to touch or to breathe in. It can contain sharp materials that can cause cuts and infections. Additionally, trash attracts animals and insects, which can bring along with them diseases, anything from rabies to eye infections to even cholera. And some waste, like needles or broken glass, can carry bloodborne diseases. This could be things like HIV or hepatitis B and C. There are also other community impacts, one of which is aesthetic destruction. It can be hard to keep a community beautiful when there is dumped trash all over it. Additionally, illegal dumping demoralizes community members. When there is trash all over a community's streets, alleys, and lots, community members can often become disheartened and feel that they are not valued by the city. And the more illegally dumped trash exists in a community, the more emboldened dumpers are to continue to dump there. After all, they often think, well, if the first dumpers didn't get punished, then why would I get punished in the future? Now let's take a look at some statistics. In 2017, over 141,000 tons of trash were collected in the city of St. Louis and sent to landfills. And we're going to have another poll here to have you guess how much trash was illegally dumped in St. Louis streets and alleys during that same year. All right, and sharing the results. The answer was actually 22,000 tons of trash. So 22,000 tons of trash were illegally dumped in St. Louis streets and alleys during 2017. This is more than 15% of the amount of trash that was collected across the entire city that year and sent to landfills. And this 22,000 tons doesn't even include trash that is in lots and yards. It's only trash that's in streets and alleys, so it's actually a low ball. But where exactly is this dumping taking place? This is where the issue of environmental racism comes in. Illegal dumping, like many environmental issues in St. Louis, disproportionately impacts Black residents. So let's take a look at this map over here. The darker the shade of red on the map, the more illegal dumping and debris complaints that community had. And the communities with a Black speckled overlay represent majority Black communities, whereas the neighborhoods without that overlay represent majority white communities or communities with no racial majority. And as you can see, the 6 neighborhoods with the most illegal dumping complaints are majority Black communities. These include Baden, Dutchtown, Graterville, Penrose, Walnut Park East, and Wells Goodfellow. And I've included the zip codes here in case you connect better with zip codes than you do with community names. Now, it's important to note that the illegally dumped trash problem is not coming directly from the members of these communities. A significant portion of the trash is construction waste or tires or non-household waste that often comes from people outside of the community or even outside of St. Louis altogether. There are currently some initiatives in place to combat illegal dumping, one of which is called So Fresh, So Clean, So Creative, which is run by Dutchtown South Community Corporation, one of our partners here today, and we'll be hearing a little bit more about that later. And the goal of So Fresh, So Clean, So Creative is to reduce improper solid waste disposal, littering, and illegal dumping, while at the same time building community capacity to address and enact system-level change. Through their many projects, So Fresh, So Clean, So Creative promotes sustainable materials management principles in various southeast neighborhoods of St. Louis City. Many communities are also hosting community cleanup initiatives, like this one pictured to the right in Hyde Park. Brightside St. Louis and the city sponsor some of these events, and they call them block blitzes. And Brightside St. Louis assists in organization and providing trash bags, as well as cleanup tool rentals. However, community members themselves don't have the capacity to clean up the majority of heavy and dangerous construction waste. So despite these efforts, illegally dumped trash is still a problem in their communities. The final initiative is the Environmental Investigations Unit, which was formerly known as the Trash Task Force. This is a division of the St. Louis Metropolitan Police Department that was established in 2010. As of last year, the unit used 200 solar cameras, as well as reports from individuals in the community to catch illegal dumpers. However, very few of these illegal dumpers have actually been caught. Another issue is that this unit was authorized to have up to 4 full-time officers, but at this point, they've still only allotted 1 officer to be looking into illegal dumping problems. And the largest fine available is $500, which is often substantially less than the cost to properly dispose of the waste in the first place. So that means that these fines may not even be deterring those who get caught from illegally dumping again in the future, even in the same communities. Now, I also wanted to touch a bit on the connections between illegal dumping and the COVID-19 pandemic. There have been an increase in illegal dumping reports across the globe since the pandemic started. Currently, there's no data available for St. Louis yet, but there have been reports throughout the country in places such as Los Angeles and across the ocean as far as Dublin, Ireland. Another problem associated with the pandemic is that ward funding has been stopped. So each year, aldermen receive funds for various projects in their wards. This can include alley maintenance, street repairs, and dumpster replacement. And during the pandemic, this funding has been stopped. So currently there are no funds from this ward funding going into replacing things like rotted dumpsters or into maintaining streets and alleys. So any of the trash conditions that existed prior to the pandemic, where this ward funding was planned to be used to solve some of them, have not been solved, and the conditions remain the same. Also during the pandemic, people are spending more and more time in their homes and within their communities. And that means that they're having more exposure to illegally dumped trash in their neighborhoods. This can be because they are following social distance guidelines, because they are working or learning remotely, because some of their jobs have been lost, or because events and activities that they normally attend have been canceled. It's not fair that some people have to shelter in place in deteriorating homes with illegally dumped trash in their yards, while others who live just a few miles away get to socially distance in safe and healthy homes with amenities galore and no worries about things like lead and mold in their homes and illegally dumped trash in their communities. Vacancy and illegal dumping they coexist as part of a never-ending cycle of harm. The more vacant properties that exist in a community, the more illegal dumpers are attracted to that community. And the more illegally dumped trash that exists in a community, the more disinvestment occurs. This likely increases the number of people that leave the neighborhood, and those who choose to stay often don't have the capacity to clean up these spaces themselves. Such disinvestment leads to even more vacant properties, and on the cycle goes. Ultimately, this problem has not yet been solved, and the brunt of the burden is disproportionately placed on the shoulders of Black St. Louis residents. We are all here today and for the rest of this series to listen to your stories and your experiences with these issues, and to hear what it is that you and your community need, and what steps you would like to see being taken to combat these problems in the future. So thank you for your attention, and I am finished.